it's Laura from the DevonAlliance for International Recruitment. We're here today at the Additional Support Unit for Devon Partnership Trust in Exeter, learning a little bit more about learning disability nurses and the requirements for international nurses that are looking to work here.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm the ward manager at the Additional Support Unit. So I'm a learning disability nurse and we're a specialist inpatient unit for people with learning disabilities.
So tell us a little bit more about the difference between a mental health nurse and a learning disability nurse.
So I think in mental health you have a diagnosis and there's a really clear treatment plan for that. But as a learning disability nurse, it's not always this clear cut. There's several different diagnoses that you're working with, or you're looking at them holistically. So their physical health has a big impact on their own mental health, and then we're teaching them the skills of how to communicate in their own way and picking up on those little cues because they're not necessarily able to articulate how they're feeling. So there's a lot more detective work. You're working with some really vulnerable individuals. So you often have to safeguard them. It can be that an individual is quite self-sufficient. However, you have other individuals where you literally have to either prompt them, so verbally prompt them, or physically prompt them. So stuff like you have to remind them that they can eat, drink, or go to the toilet, or have a shower, and what's expected in that shower. You sometimes have to break that down so it's that specific for that individual. Others you can say, right, it's time for your shower. Right, now go ahead and do that.
So what's your favourite part of the job?
It's the patient contact. They're the reason why I work here. They're the individuals that motivate me to come into work every day. You get to know them so well that you feel their emotions. So when they're in a really good place, you really feel like I've done a pretty good job and you've had that impact.
But on the other side of the coin, what's the hardest part of the job for you?
It is the distress. Like obviously they come here because they're very unwell, they're very dysregulated, and that can be really difficult. They express things in really different ways. It could be from self-isolating, self-neglect to violence and aggression. We have some structure in terms of meds that's due at certain times, roughly meal times, and we try and keep them the same. But generally, each patient has a very different person-centred approach. But it's about getting them through their day, trying to build up their skills, getting them access into community. Some patients, due to their autism, have very structured routines and often are waiting for you to initiate certain parts, or they won't move on to the next step until one step's completed. But we have others that are quite flexible. So I think probably one of the challenges is not every day is the same. It's very patient-centred, so it depends on the individuals you've got in. Obviously they can be distressed, it depends on where they're at in their time frame of their admission. But generally it's organising the shift, making sure staff are comfortable, are familiar with the patients that they're working with, and they're the best individuals to support them that day for whatever activity they're doing. So I think you need to be empathetic, kind, caring. You need to be a good advocate for our patients. You need to be a bit curious, so you're trying to unpick what the individual's asking for, or trying to unpick the reason for their distress, because at times they struggle to verbalise that. We try and have 2 nurses every shift, but there are quite often occasions where you are the only nurse, but obviously that's dependent on if you're comfortable and skilled to be left by yourself.
Yeah.
But we always try for 6 staff per shift. So generally our patients are 1-to-1, but at times they're 2 or 3-to-1, and that's not necessarily a nurse that needs to do those observations.
Yeah.
It's often HAs that do that, and then the nurse will fit in between the patients and make sure that they're overseeing that they're getting everything they need in their day, medications, if they're allowed them to go on leave. But at times you will do those observations, yes. So it fluctuates depending on who's going in, but if we have high acuity, so if there's a couple of people on 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, we'll make sure we've got the staffing to match. So just to make sure we've got that appropriate skill mix, and if there isn't, then we'll make sure it's escalated prior to the shift happening. So we're going to move to a 10-bedded unit. The patients all have their own self-contained flats. They've got their own bedroom, bathroom, lounge, and their own garden, which is a really unique way of working. The clinical model is really exciting. They've gone for gold standard and it's all been approved. The recruitment's gradually starting to go through. We'll have full-time MDT. I think it's really about patient-centred journeys, how we can support them, try and minimise, as much of their distress, appropriate admissions, hopefully quick discharges, and yeah, it's a really good I think we can teach you the models of care and stuff. That's not something I would expect everybody to know, but willingness to learn about it, and it mainly is about the patient and getting to know them and their story, and I think all like understanding their emotions, and if you can feel those emotions, that's really crucial, because then you really care and get that individual, and then you can really help their journey.